Hey guys, I know some of you were waiting for this battle. This is the final round of Arcena and MegaKeldeo's NU tournament, me versus Mienshanes. My opponent Mienshanes is using a Samurott, an Amogus, a Golurk, a Skutank, a Golem, and an Embor. I always have to be on the watch out for Samurott considering it can be a Swords Dance set. Amogus is pretty much standard. Golurk can be either a physically bulky defensive set, or it can be the Rock Polish set that I'm running. Skutank is a known trapper, so I've got to be careful about that. Golem I've actually faced before and it didn't give me too much trouble. And Embor, I really don't know what to expect from that Embor. I just know that they can be physically offensive and run either a choice band or a choice scarf for their set. I don't know what to expect from it. So anyways, I know you guys are as anxious as I am, so let's get to this battle. Welcome everyone to the final round of Arcena and MegaKeldeo's tournament, me versus Mienshanes. He sends out Samus Samurott as I send out my Regirock. He goes for the Hydro Pump first turn, but I'm especially defensive. I know I can take it. I go for a Thunder Wave just to cripple this thing, and while Stealth Rocks would have been a good idea, I want to keep my Regirock for later, and I know I can pretty much set it up whenever. So I switch out, go and Val my Cacturn, just because I know he's going to go for the Water type move. He goes for Surf. Water Absorb's not going to do anything for that, and I'm going to go for Substitute. And for these next few turns, I'm going to go for Substitute. He's going to take it out with my Ice Beam. And I don't care. I'm going to keep going for the subs because I know that's the best strategy to do as long as this thing is still paralyzed. So he's going to keep going for him. I'm going to keep subbing and going to keep waiting until he just gets paralyzed because I know my leftovers recovery is going to keep me going. So here he's going to pull back and go into his 33% up, his Amogus, as I go for a Substitute, and I'm going to go for a Dark Pulse, which is going to thankfully flinch this thing, because based off that damage, it is definitely specially defensive. So it's going to flinch him. I'm going to go for another one. I don't see leftovers, so I'm wondering if this is some kind of offensive variant. Anyway, it looks like it's going to be a solid 3-hit KO, and here I know he's not going to want to lose it this early in the match. He's going to pull out. I'm going to go for a Substitute on the switch, just so I can get off a safe attack. He goes into his Embarbecue, as I go for the sub, and next turn I'm going to go for the Focus Blast, because really it's my best option, as he's going to take out with my sub with a Flare Blitz, and he's getting a lot of crits behind this sub, so just thankfully the Hax is going off on the subs and not on me. So I go for a Focus Blast. It does a ton of damage, and I'm going to have to switch out here. He switches out and goes into his Amogus, thinking it's probably the best switch, and it probably is. As I go into my Regirock and predicting the Grass type move, I'm going to go switch out and go into my Stripe. And here goes for Giga Drain. I get my Sap Super Boost, but it's not going to matter because he's going to pull back and go into his Rocky, his Golem. God, I hate this thing. It's seriously because of this battle that I went ahead and actually remade the set on my Stripe, just because of this Golem. Anyway, Flame Charge's not going to do jack. Going to have to pull out. Going to go into my Regirock just as death fodder. So much for rocks. So he's going to die to the Earthquake, and yeah. So here was the biggest mistake of the match. This is what cost me. This is seriously what cost me. I go for a Substitute, completely forgetting that Golem gets Rock Blast. You know what? This is the second time. This is the second time this has happened to me with Golem and Cacturn specifically. And I just can't believe I made the same mistake again. That is what cost me the match there, folks. Anyway, I switch out, go into my Gardevoir, go for the Focus Blast, and it's going to do a ton of damage to this gun tank. I'm going to go for another Focus Blast, predicting the Pursuit. It's almost going to knock him out, and that's really what this Skuntank is all about. It like survives on bare minimum HP every single time. Now I'm predicting him to go for Sucker Punch, thinking that I'm going to stay in. I go into my Stripe, he goes for the Sucker Punch, and here I'm going to just sacrifice my Stripe because I need to switch in someone who will knock this thing out, and I can't have that thing with its sturdy. So we go for Flame Charge, and it's enough to break his sturdy, so I'm going to have to go for another move. I go for Return, which does a little bit more damage, and I'm going to get taken out by Earthquake, and I had to do it. I really did. I needed to get rid of its sturdy somehow. Now that I think about it, maybe I could have Dragon-tailed it, but I'm actually glad I didn't because this comes in later in the match. So I send out my Golurk. I know the Sucker Punch is coming, but I know I can take one. I go for the Earthquake, knock it out, and that is probably the biggest threat on his team to me out of the way. So I'm gonna lose my HP. He sends out his M barbecue. There's no point in keeping Golurk alive anymore. I mean, with that low health, he can do like 2 life orb attacks, but there's no way he's gonna be able to set up. So he knocks me out. I go into my Madam and trace his Blaze, which is not gonna help me at all, as he goes into his YOLO, and I just go for another Focus Blast. And this thing is gonna try and trap the heck out of me. Predicting my switch, I guess, or thinking it's probably the safest move, I don't know. He switches into his SoFly, his Golurk, and I am not, I repeat, not gonna let this kind of set up on me, considering that's the kind of set I run, and considering how much I love Golurk. I am not gonna let him sweep me like this. So I send in my Licky Licky. I know for a fact I can take a Dynamic Punch, even if it's Life Orb, Max Attack, Adamant, whatever. I send him out, I Dragon Tail him out, and no Golurk sweep for you. I go for a Wish. Even if I don't get it, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to my Gardevoir, because that's really my only hope. And he's going to put me to sleep here. But again, I'm going to switch out my Gardevoir. It's my only hope. And Madam traces Regenerator, which is quite nice, as he pulls back and goes into his SoFly, his Golurk. And I'm figuring that at that range of health that Stunky, or Scootank is at, I should be able to knock it out with some Shadow Balls. So I go for Shadow Ball, knowing it's the best option I've got, as I just keep going for Shadow Balls against, he switches into a Samurott. I get a critical hit on the second Shadow Ball, which definitely mattered, but you know what? At this late point in the game, when I'm behind, I'm not sorry. I go for another Shadow Ball, because I'm predicting the Pursuit again, and it just survives on just a bare smidgen again. Why won't this thing die? And here I over-predicted, expecting him to predict my switch, but it doesn't happen. I know I've lost, and here I'm going to bow out. Ending a battle 4-1 is nothing to be ashamed about. Congratulations on winning the tournament, Mienshanes. You earned it. Okay, so the talk of the day, I'd actually like to talk about what happened after this battle. After this battle, I was really mad and kind of depressed and just unbelievably frustrated. And at first, I thought I was mad at Mienshanes, but after I thought about it for a while, I actually realized I was mad at myself. Because I realized that I made that mistake with the Rock Blast before, and I made that mistake again. I couldn't blame anyone but myself for that. So, today's talk of the day, I just want to say this, guys. If you ever feel you're in a situation like that, like I was in, do not blame your opponent. Don't get mad at him. Don't hold a grudge. Just remember, it will pass with time, pretty much like everything else. And until then, do something else. Get your mind off it. Heck, go get an ice cream. That's all I've got for today, guys, so I'll go ahead and talk to you later. This is Zabuza, signing out.